Alexa, do you have Unhealed Shame?
I can help reorder everyday items, track your deliveries,
No,
add to your shopping list, or answer
Alexa
product
off.
questions.
That's not what I was talking about.
Today, the great film Boogie Nights and the concept of unhealed shame on Cinema Unites the World. Welcome and thank you for coming. Jordan Rockwell here. Thank you so much for stopping by. Please hit the subscribe button below and share the page. Comment if you so desire to do so publicly, but if you don't, if you just want to send me something private, by all means, I'll try to help and listen any way that I can. I very much appreciate you coming back today to my channel. But before we continue, you're watching this on a Friday, but the day that I'm taping this is Tuesday, June 6th, which is the 79th anniversary of the Allied D-Day invasion of Normandy. God bless the brave men from America, Canada, and England who stormed the beaches of Normandy that day on Utah, Omaha, Juno, Golden Sword, and God bless the French resistance for helping us with intelligence. What I also learned from reading the book D-Day by Stephen Ambrose 20 years ago was that many or most of the soldiers, I don't know the number, on the other side on that beach, in the pillboxes, were not only not Nazis or even Germans, they were conscripts, Poles, Czechs, otherwise known as slaves. So you have 8 of them in a pillbox with a German soldier behind them holding a Luger to their head saying, "Fire on those allies," who are actually your brothers, but you're not going to know that, or die. Every single June 6th, I watch Saving Private Ryan. I'm not going to go into the criticism of it. No, you can find that somewhere else. I think the question of why are we doing this, that these soldiers ask, why are we going into the suck for one guy, it's a good question to ask. The film is asking that question. But I'm going to point to this scene right here. So we have these soldiers trying to surrender, and our boys kill them. And they were not Nazis. This is from the IMDb page. The 2 German soldiers who were shot trying to surrender were actually speaking Czech. They were saying, "Please don't shoot me. I am not German. I am Czech. I didn't kill anyone. I am Czech." They were members of what the Germans called East battalions. Men, mostly Czech and Polish, taken prisoner in Eastern European countries, invaded by Germany, and forced into the German army. The closed captioning on the film on VHS, DVD, Blu-ray bears this out with the language being labeled as Czech. They're trying to say, we're on your side, we're slaves, and that's kind of allegorical for, yeah, we didn't start this battle, we didn't start this fight. To those of you who do currently serve and are fighting in any war today that you didn't start, that is all. No way was I going to be talking about a movie about porn stars without first acknowledging the day that I'm taping it and how privileged I am to not have to fight in a war. Yet, hence why I'm making my film Traitor, our film Traitor. More about that in the end. But on to the great film, Boogie Nights, and the concept of unhealed shame. Boogie Nights, released in September 1997, pardon me, written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, a great American filmmaker, The Master, There Will Be Blood, Inherent Vice, and so on. It is currently available on Hulu, and I cannot wait for a 4K upgrade to come. It really deserves it. I love the DVD that I got in college. It's where I first saw it. It has a great audio commentary by Paul Thomas Anderson. It's fantastic. It's not one of these, because not all audio commentaries are created equal. Some of them are very dry and bland, and they just kind of what's called Mickey Mousing, just telling you what's happening. They don't give you any behind the scenes stories or filmmaking techniques used or influences they got. And Mr. Anderson gives us all 3. And like he'll say, this shot's from I Am Cuba. This shot is obviously Scorsese influenced. and this character is this, that actor's that, and so on and so forth. And it's just absolutely wonderful. And a good audio commentary is a film lecture, a clinic in filmmaking. This is one of the best. It's fantastic. It's worth their weight in gold. Like Roger Ebert's commentary for Citizen Kane and Casablanca. There's another couple of good ones. Anyway, the film stars Mark Wahlberg as Eddie Adams, a high school dropout who in 1977, he has a giant penis, and he wants something. He's at the right place in the right time. He put himself there on purpose at this discotheque in the Valley where a bunch of porn stars hang out and where he meets Jack Horner, played by Burt Reynolds. They both want something similar. And Eddie finds a family with this group of porn stars. But there's a lot going on here. It's a fun movie, but it's also very dark and very real. And the concept of unhealed shame is where this darkness comes from, in my opinion, and maybe you agree. I love this movie. Most of us do. And I've had a question for the past 26 years about a certain character. And I was hanging out with my family this past weekend, and it just popped into my head. And maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. I think it's John C. Reilly's character, Reed Rothschild. Great names in this picture. Buck Slope, Dirk Diggler, Jack Horner, and yeah, it's the Reed Rothschild character that I've been thinking about so much, because Boogie Nights is ostensibly about the rise, fall, and evening out of Eddie Adams, which is how I'm going to refer to him, not Dirk Diggler. Eddie Adams from Torrance. Eddie Adams from Torrance. Eddie Adams from Torrance. And Reed Rothschild. And another character, Johnny Doe. The three of them. One of them definitely has unhealed shame. Another one probably does, based on his behavior, and one does not. Reed Rothschild is the only one of the three who is truly at peace. One of the few in the movie, really. And everybody else, shame based on regret or possessing, in the case of Jack Horner, an impossible quixotic dream that will never really come true. And that's a feeling that most of us who want to make movies have to accept. And I realized why I was always asking, why is Reed so nice and happy? For 26 years, I'm trying to figure this out, and I think I finally did. It's when they first meet, when Eddie first comes into the lives of these porn family, and Eddie first comes to Jack's house, and they meet at the bar, and they're making margaritas, and not only is Reed not threatened, he's happy to have Eddie become the top dog. He's happy to have Eddie come into his life. I got a new best friend. I got a new brother. You're awesome, dude. And Eddie seems very happy. He's found a family. But Eddie Adams from Torrance doesn't realize that Torrance has come with him. That demon followed him. And so later on, when Johnny Doe shows up, Eddie is threatened and knee-deep in addiction and has a falling out with Jack, and there we are. Eddie Adams is a victim of abuse by his mother. Mrs. Adams is a very disturbed individual. Her son is not that bright. He's promiscuous. Some edible stuff going on here. She's threatened by it. She has a grip on him and doesn't want to let go. Sound familiar? Familiar? Yeah. Her father's a coward. Something's going on here. She calls his girlfriends whores. Misogyny, misandryism, it's everywhere. It's either one's toxic, either one's wrong. And even if there is something physical going on, emotional abuse or neglect is still abuse by a parental figure. A parental figure, like her, God forgive you, it still leaves scars. And Eddie wants to escape. He wants to reinvent himself with a new name. with an identity that cuts glass. Dirk Diggler. It's not who he is. It's not real. They're all in the high of meeting somebody new, of having their dreams possibly come true with hope. You know, narcissists use love bombing to draw victims in. This is not what's happening with Jack. I don't think it is. He's one of the. His issue is that, well, he'll find out later. Let's put it that way. We don't know much about him. Iceberg theory. Burt Reynolds was 60 years old when he made this picture. And great performance. Deserved that Oscar nom. So extrapolating that from Jack Horner's age, let's just say that Jack Horner was probably born around in 1916, which means he is of draft age for World War II, speaking of June 6th. We don't know. I don't think we saw any medals in his house. We don't know if he served. We don't know what he was doing. So we don't get much of his backstory. We don't know if he was ever married. I don't think he has children. You only tell your audience what they need to know and know more, and figuring out what that is a difficult line to find. But we can deduce some things by what he wants. And he wants to make a great film. Maybe in the past, he's 60, maybe he was not good enough or sociopathic enough to make it in the mainstream film business. But this is where he ended up, and his dream is to make a great film. To be, frank with you. Okay, can I still be Garth? He says like when someone's finished pleasuring himself, he wants the guy to stay and watch the story because it's so compelling. He wants to do more than just give something a movie for someone to pleasure themselves to. And he's got a good dream. He's also not squeamish about sex. That's a good thing, I think. That's all we get. He's also a very kind, loving man. And he sees Eddie as a way to help him achieve his dream. And it's a mutual exchange with some unfortunate toxicity, which we'll get to in a bit. Pause. The porn is a good or not debate. Social conservatives hate it, think it should be banned. Libertines love it. Free speech there or not? Is it regulated? And there are people in the middle that say the following: porn rots the brain. I think there's some truth there. Just as alcohol is not real confidence, porn is not real sex, and it gives a terrible idea of how to treat people, let alone women. Not good. Reminds me of this joke. Think of something right now. Do you have something in mind? Anything. Person, place, thing. There's porn about it. There is a need in the market or a desire in the market. It's one of these things that tends to be recession-proof. And I think there are a lot of broken people in the porn industry. Maybe greater than the per capita average. Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong. But back to Eddie. His demons will show up eventually. You got to confront them, or they will just confront you and cause problems. I don't believe for 1 second that happy, well-adjusted people use cocaine or any kind of narcotic to dull feelings. Nor am I judging them. Whether it be cocaine, alcohol, heroin, just my opinion. I don't know what I'm not an expert. I'm not a doctor. Am I wrong? Amber Waves. Not a real name. Her actual name is Margaret. She's divorced, and she'll never see her biological son ever again. The custody scene with the aftermath, it's devastating. The thought of not being able to see my children again. Whew. Roller Girl, played by Heather Graham, seen here in high school, saying goodbye to that world, by that moron. Objectified. Her name really is Brandy. And between these two ladies, you have this scene. Will you be my mommy while doing cocaine? Oh, Lord. This is how you write a character. Benevolent pity. You want Roller Girl and Amber to be happy. Buck Swope, played by the great Don Cheadle. Black man who loves country music. Gets picked on by his employer at the stereo store. He's a great actor, but he wants something else. He wants to open his own stereo store. He's frustrated by not being accepted. So his shame is frustration around that. But then he does find someone who accepts him just as he is. And loves him just as he is. And through a terrible violent event, he gets what he wants in the end, and he's happy, albeit because of the violent event he took advantage of. With her, it's one of the few sort of happy endings we get. And through this terrible means of a homicide that he did not cause but took advantage of, will he look back later with regret? He's a good dude, so maybe. I don't know. Becky Barnett, she gets a happy ending. There is a deleted scene, which, because it's deleted, it does not count, but that deleted scene shows, unfortunately, what can happen when someone from the adult film industry gets married. If a woman will then get abused by the husband because he can't handle her past. That insecurity is awful. How awful it is to judge someone for that. And P.T. Anderson wanted to give Becky a happy ending, and so he cut it out. The Robert Ridgely character, the Colonel, a pedophile. I'm sorry, Jack, I can't help it. We don't care. Wood chipper. Minor attracted person, my ass. No. Boy, do I have a bone to pick with people who make excuses for abusers. Thank you, CSI, season 3 or 4, I think, somewhere in there, when a pedophile, busted in the end, says to Grissom, she was just so perfect, I couldn't help myself. And Grissom says, very gently but firmly, that's not her fault. Excuses and explanations are not the same thing. Period. Yes, this may have been done to you. Not their fault. Wood chipper, Colonel. Shame on you. William H. Macy's character, Little Bill, married the wrong woman, and the woman married the wrong man. Why she marry him? Financial security, maybe? I don't know. Played by the legendary adult film actress, Nina Hartley. Nina, I hear you have a very good reputation, and you're a very nice person. Hello. You played her brilliantly. Both of you did. William H. Macy is a great actor. Little Bill is a stereotypical beta male. I don't like the alpha beta nonsense. I think it's nonsense. I think, to me, the human being we all need to be, learn how to defend yourself and get strong, and learn to create boundaries and stand up for yourself without becoming what you are standing up against. We got to be careful that the bullied, don't become the bullies. I'm seeing a lot of that today. We must not become what we're fighting. It's a cliche, but it's a cliche for a reason. She humiliates him repeatedly, thinking there will be no consequences. And finally, he snaps, murders her lover, and then dies by suicide. Happy New Year, 1980. No. The two of them did not deserve to die. They did not deserve to die. They did not deserve to be murdered by Little Bill. Okay? But, that being said, be careful who you humiliate. Be careful who you don't allow to save face. It's a shocking moment by design, but it's not a surprising one. It's been building to that. Reminds me of that Chris Rock bit. Like, I'm not saying you should have killed her, OJ, but I understand. All right, it's funny, but same thing. Not making an effort to allow others to save face is one of the many epidemics facing our social media obsessed world today. You got pwned, you got owned, clap back, yeah, oh no, stop it. I'd say if only Little Bill's wife had just said, listen, this isn't working out. You take everything. I'll figure it out. Let's figure it out. Let's do it amicably and be friends. She can't do that. She's not a good person. Who knows why? Shame? Sure. Some people are just evil. There's that too. Some people are just bad and broken and they're never going to change. She is just not a good person. I love the term reality on reality's, the phrase reality on reality's terms. Little Bill should have had the wherewithal to realize, you know what, I need to cut my losses and walk and go through a temporary hell to get a long-term sense of happiness or inner peace. The moments of him being, but he couldn't do that. Too cowardly. The moments of him being humiliated are funny, but Anderson is building to something and building to that New Year's Eve party. At first we're laughing, then we're not. Take the guy who assaults with his buddies at Eddie in the truck in the end. Bigotry, self-loathing, hate, it's all consuming. Scotty J, played by the late, great Phil Seymour Hoffman, who died by overdose. Scotty is gay. He has a crush on Dirk. And he comes on to him, rejected, and this terrible, heartbreaking scene. Anderson knows when he doesn't want us to laugh. It's humiliating. It's devastating to see him sob. He's a very unhappy guy. So to sum up, we have Louis Guzman's character who seems to be happy-go-lucky. Don Cheadle's character who, well, maybe not later on. Jack Horner, okay. Jesse St. Vincent, Laura Walters' character. All right, but everybody else, not so much. Except for, back to Reed Rothschild. He is so happy when Eddie comes into his life. Not only is he not threatened, but when Eddie becomes the star, Dirk Diggler, quote, 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 he's like, yeah, way to go, high five. Doesn't he F like a champ, you know? Flash forward to after New Year's Eve 1980, and they're making that, and Amber's making that silly, pretentious documentary about Eddie, Dirk, Eddie, you know. Oh, before that, Anderson wisely time jumps. We don't see the direct aftermath of that murder-suicide. Everybody at that party is going to be traumatized forever. To say more, well, out of my, not my place, but back to the documentary. Eddie, not Dirk, Eddie. We see we see Reed being interviewed like, no. He says, if I can't make porno movies anymore, then I'll have sex on my own time and do magic. No matter where Reed goes, he's happy. No matter where he goes, he's at peace. The inner peace, not happiness or sadness, inner peace. Most of the people in this picture will never have it. And I thought, we don't know much about his backstory. We don't need to. We know enough. We can just tell. I don't believe that Reed has any unhealed shame, but other people do. And that's why he's not threatened. He's not insecure. Where does insecurity come from? Could be from having a secret that you're afraid that people will find out about, not like you anymore. There's a difference between keeping things private and keeping things secret. The former, keeping things private, is the light. Keeping secrets is the dark. And living a lie is its own form of hell. And maybe that's where narcotics, or the poison of narcotics, come in. I'm not for the war on drugs, don't get me wrong, but, well, anyway, insecurity is a poison. Have you felt insecure? Have you ever asked why? All that being said, some people can't and won't, or won't, change. You do not have to spend time with these people who poke, and you object, and they go, whoa, you can't take a joke, what's your problem? Or they throw a tantrum. Doesn't matter who they are. Vapor trails. Speaking of which, check out this podcast, Dimming the Gaslight. I'm rooting for you, buddy. Get some. Boogie Nights is a heavy, heavy allegory for Hollywood. I mean, it's about the movie business, the porn movie business, but a lot of broken people come to Hollywood to exorcise demons thinking they can. It's been said that the level of narcissism is, by the way, word of the year, and I think it's social media. Well, I'll get there later, but psychopaths, it has been said that they are found mostly on a per capita basis in prisons and boardrooms for the evolutionary advantage or for just whatever reason that may be. Ask them. The TV show Barry there's a really good example with the character of Sally, and her past abuse leads to it. The passive-aggressive narcissistic stuff. We're rooting for her. I'm reminded of Matthew Perry. Bless him for his wonderful book, saying multiple times, I remember growing up saying, please let me be famous, please let me be famous. Eddie of Boogie Nights wants to reinvent himself to escape, but those demons, they're going to follow him, and he's got to hit a rock bottom. Thank God he does. He is accepted back into Jack's arms, and he ends up okay in the end. But are they all okay? From P.T. Anderson himself. That interpretation made me feel like I hadn't done my job, but then I stopped and thought, no, I did do my job, and maybe that person just misinterpreted it. You know, usually what you see in a movie is that the characters become smarter in the end of the movie somehow, and that doesn't really happen here. Everybody is the same that they were in the beginning. Paul, I don't agree. They've survived a lot. I think they're wiser, but if you think making porn is always a bad idea, then yeah, they haven't gotten out. But I think they're better. I think they're more healed. They've confronted things. So that's just my take. So I think it's up to all of us individually to ask ourselves, are we ashamed of anything? And if so, confront it with the right help. What is the right help? I don't know. It's not for me to say. And perhaps keep it private until you are ready to use it to give value to the world so that others can heal too, like Matthew Perry did with his book. All right, so if you haven't already done so, please click the link right there to see the announcement teaser for my upcoming short film, Traitor. Very, very excited. This is going to be the hardest thing I've ever tried to do up there with learning to fly. And to me, like, there's no happiness or sadness because there's no, how do I be happy? It's like, okay, well, how do you be sad? Do you want to be sad? No, you want to be happy. The great film Inside Out showed us that you need both. To have neither is depression. There are good times and bad times. Neither one lasts. Asking how to be happy is the wrong question. It's how do you find inner peace? I think most of us don't have it. Some of us will never have it. And everyone has an idea of how to get it. And their way is the only way. If you disagree, you're wrong. My way is not the only way. It's just my way, and I could be wrong. My road to inner peace is to continually examine my inner shame, make peace with it, forgive myself, forgive others, strive and finish, and also to strive to finish incredibly difficult but impossible goals and be willing to fail. Hence my new film school of making the film Traitor. The film that, once I gather my cast, crew, and capital, Ocean's 11 style, on the day one of the shoot, I will say what I will always say on every shoot, every production I do. Number one, you're going to eat really well on my set. And number two, I'm the captain of the ship, but it's no longer just my ship. It's our ship. Chris, my DP, and Sarah, my makeup artists, it's not my film, it's our film. And the buck stops with me. I may be the captain, but The final decisions may rest with me, but I will always want each and every human being on my set to contribute an idea. For example, for one of the villains is a psychopathic doctor, and I have an idea of who he is, what he is, and his backstory, and how I want him to be played. But what if the actor I hire has a different idea that is better, and the only way for me to know that is to tell my ego and pride, have a seat. What if they're right? Jack Sparrow was originally written as a swashbuckling Indiana Jones type. But then Johnny Depp came along and said, I got a different idea. Look how that turned out. And it was a risk. Well done, Johnny. I am looking for a producer. It's a paid position. Every position's paid, except me, to help me get this film budgeted properly, locations, scheduled, get this picture to the finish line. We'll be launching the Indiegogo campaign very soon. I'm having a lot of fun coming up with perks, and I will not stop until the ship comes into port for all of you to get on board and enjoy. And I really hope it helps us heal. People are very justifiably terrified for 2024 that we don't have an off-ramp to you-know-what, and what can what can a short film do to provide an off-ramp? I don't know, but you know. So thank you very much for watching. I hope it's helpful. Please hit the subscribe button and share. And God bless you all. Have a great day. For Cinema Unites the World. See ya.